Hey everyone, today we're diving into a story that's both shocking and deeply unsettling. Imagine being on death row, maintaining your innocence for years, only to accept a plea deal to save your life. That's exactly what happened with Marcellus Williams in Missouri. Marcellus Williams was more than the crime he was accused of. He spent 23 years in prison, and during his time he devoted much of his time to studying Islam and writing poetry, according to the Innocence Project, a non-profit that works with people whom it believes have been wrongly convicted. His spirituality guided his life and gave him a purpose. He became religious while he was in prison. Williams' last statement, on September 21st, was, "All praise be to Allah in every situation." The year was 1998. Felicia Gale, a former reporter for the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, was tragically murdered in her house. The search for her killer began immediately. Suspicion soon fell upon Marcellus Williams. In 2001, Williams was convicted for the murder of Felicia Gale, a former newspaper reporter and a social worker. They relied heavily on circumstantial evidence. The lack of direct physical evidence created lingering doubts. The trial that followed would determine Williams's fate. The question remained, was Marcellus Williams truly responsible? The legal proceedings would unfold with intense scrutiny. The trial of Marcellus Williams began. The prosecution presented their case that allegedly Williams broke into Felicia's home on August 11, 1998, noticed the shower running and picked up a large butcher knife. When Gale came downstairs, she was stabbed 43 times. They noted that her purse and her husband's laptop were taken. Authorities claimed Williams used a jacket to hide blood on his shirt, and his now ex-girlfriend, Miss Asaro, later reported seeing the stolen items in his car. Williams allegedly sold the laptop shortly after the crime. In 2016, DNA testing on the knife found at the crime scene excluded Williams as the source of male DNA. 3 DNA experts reviewed the evidence and confirmed its findings. Due to this, former Governor Eric Greitens intervened in August 2017, just hours before Williams's scheduled execution, postponing it due to the new DNA evidence. While no forensic and DNA evidence connected Williams to the murder, the Gale case remains unsolved, and Marcellus prosecutors relied mainly on 2 incentivized witnesses with a questionable history. The testimony came from Henry Cole, a former cellmate of Williams, who claimed that Williams confessed to him, revealing details of the murder. Cole had a reputation for dishonesty, having initially refused to testify until promised payment from prosecutors. His statements mirrored information that was publicly available, raising questions about their authenticity. Asaro also had a dubious history, having faced solicitation charges and previously lying under oath. Williams' defense team pointed out that both Cole and his girlfriend had felony convictions and were motivated by the promise of a $10,000 reward. They emphasized that crucial evidence, such as fingerprints and DNA, did not match Williams, and a crime scene investigator confirmed that the perpetrator wore gloves. The trial proceedings were marked by inconsistencies and questionable witness testimony. This cast a pall of uncertainty over the entire case. The defense team focused on the lack of physical evidence connecting Williams to the crime scene. Questions about the DNA led to request a hearing challenging Williams' guilt. The date was set for August 21st, but days before the August 21st hearing, new tests revealed that the DNA found on the knife belonged to members of the prosecutor's office. With no DNA evidence pointing to any alternative suspects, the lawyers reached a compromise with the prosecutor's office. Williams would enter a new no-contest plea to first-degree murder in exchange for a life sentence without parole. On September 12th, Hilton ruled that the first-degree murder conviction and death sentence would remain in place, stating that Williams's arguments had all been previously dismissed. The state Supreme Court upheld this decision on Monday. They argued that Marcellus Williams was a victim of circumstance. The defense team raised concerns about the role of racial bias in the jury selection process. They argued that the prosecution had systematically excluded potential jurors of color. This, they argued, violated Williams' right to a fair trial. The defense argued that the lack of diversity on the jury reflected a systemic bias within the criminal justice system. The case of Marcellus Williams became a symbol of these larger issues. The defense argued that the system had failed Marcellus Williams. The reliability of the evidence presented by the prosecution was a central issue throughout the trial. The questions surrounding the reliability of the witness testimony and the absence of physical evidence continued to fuel the debate about Williams's guilt. Marcellus was convicted primarily on the word of 2 witnesses who testified against him. The sentence was finalized and officials moved forward with the execution. Williams remained steadfast in his faith throughout the ordeal. He maintained his innocence. His supporters rallied around him, advocating for his release. As the final hours approached, Williams remained composed and resolute. He spent time in prayers. The officials said that Williams's last meal included chicken wings and tater tots. He had his final visit with Imam Jalahi Kakem, whom Williams used to follow from approximately 16 o'clock to 17:30 GMT. He was peaceful and reflected on the ayah in the Quran, which states, "Indeed, those who have said, 'Our Lord is Allah,' and then remained on a right course, there will be no fear concerning them, nor will they grieve. Those are the companions of paradise, abiding eternally therein as reward for what they used to do." Verse 14, Surah Akaf. Therefore it was Allah's plan, and Allah is the best of planners. At about 22:50 GMT, witnesses, including Williams's son and 2 of his lawyers, were escorted to the prison's viewing area. Karen Poyman, spokesperson for the Missouri Department of Corrections, said, "No one was present on behalf of the Gale family." At 23 o'clock GMT, Attorney General Andrew Bailey informed the Department of Corrections that there were no legal barriers to the execution. The lethal injection was administered at 23:01 GMT. According to a report by the Associated Press, Williams wiggled his feet beneath a white sheet that was pulled up to his neck and shifted his head slightly. After that, his chest rose and fell about 6 times, and he showed no further movement. Williams was pronounced dead at 23:10 GMT, the 24th of September, 2024, according to Poyman. He faced death with dignity and grace. His message resonated with people across the country. Williams's last moments were filled with both sorrow and hope. The execution of Marcellus Williams sparked outrage and renewed calls for criminal justice reform. Many believed that he had been wrongfully executed. His case became a rallying cry for advocates working to abolish the death penalty. Williams's story highlighted the fallibility of the justice system. It underscored the devastating consequences of wrongful convictions. His case became a symbol of the urgent need for reform. Williams's legacy lives on in the ongoing fight for justice and equality. His story continues to inspire activists and advocates working to end the death penalty and prevent wrongful convictions. The execution of Marcellus Williams served as a stark reminder of the human cost of a flawed justice system. His case became a powerful example of the need for greater safeguards to protect the innocent. Kindly subscribe to my channel.